All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. We're going to get started on our Placester 101 class. This is our basic Placester class, getting your site set up and launched and your information in there and ready for clients to start using. If you're looking for more advanced stuff like working with custom pages or adding your own custom domain or blogging or things like that, you would want to refer to our Placester 201 class, and that's at slmtraining.com. The same place this class will be once we're done and I've got the recording edited and put over there. So, excuse me. Sending over a couple of messages here for getting started. The important one is, and I'm sure you've seen the message on the slideshow here a couple of times, if you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, I'm going to need you to switch browsers. You're going to need to switch to a more modern browser like maybe Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, because the Placester interface will not load in Internet Explorer. Now, if you're using Microsoft Edge, that's the new browser in Windows 10 from Microsoft, that one works just fine. But if you have Windows 8 or 7 or one older, Internet Explorer will not work, and I'll need you to switch to upgrade to a newer browser. Okay, let me minimize our slideshow here. So to access our, where are we here? There we go. To access our KW website powered by Placester, and it is Placester, not Placester, not Placesetter, not Placaster. It's Placester, basically. That's accessed through my KW. That's not done by logging into the homepage of your website. It's not done by logging into Placester.com. It's done through mykw.kw.com. So if you're not already, go ahead and get logged into your mykw.kw.com homepage. This used to be the kw.onelogin.com page, but that page no longer works. It has to be mykw.kw.com, and you should end up right here. You'll no longer see the different tiles for like .loop and the intranet and connect and all those things. You're going to end up right here on your MyKW homepage. Once you're on your MyKW homepage, up in your top black menu, we'll hover over Technology. Then we'll click on the third option down here, which is KW Websites. And then on this page, you should have a red button that says Go to my website. If you don't have this button, there's a couple of reasons for that. Usually it's this first one. You want to double check with your MCA, your Market Center Administrator, the person at your Market Center who's responsible for getting commission checks to agents. Make sure that your MLS ID, your agent ID, is in your KW White Pages profile. If it's not there, your site can't be enabled and you won't have this button. Now, even if you were to have your MCA sitting right next to you right now and they added your MLS ID immediately, unfortunately, there's not anything to be done during the time of this class. There's actually a delay of roughly 24 to 48 hours between when the MLS ID is added and when you actually have access to the site. So if you don't have this button currently, you can follow along with us, take some notes so that you're ready to get back to it once the site is available, or excuse me, you can just watch the recording at a later time, or you can catch us next month when we do this on the first Wednesday. If you do have your Go to My Website button, let's click on that. And that'll take us here into the Placester interface. This is roughly what it's going to look like. You may have these tiles across the top here. You can actually ignore those, pretend they don't exist. You can actually even click hide over here on the right to get rid of those. We're going to be handling pretty much all of that, and you can just ignore it for now. Over on the left, we're going to have some quick actions. We've got preview site, launch site, and all that. I don't know why it's defaulting to Scott's commercial site. Oh, darn it, I forgot to unlaunch this site. I was supposed to do that before we got started. Okay, give me just a second. Okay, so you should be seeing something very similar to what I've got now. And over here under quick actions, we've got launch site. That's the very first thing that we want to do. We want to send this live on the internet. So if you click on that, that is the only step. It's one click, your site is launched. There are no settings to choose. There are no fancy things to code, nothing to type in. You click launch, the site is launched. And then it'll take you here to the list of your sites. Now, if your site was already launched and you'd like to get to this same page that we're on, you can get there up here on the top right. We'll click on this grid of 9 squares, and then you click on sites. That gets you to this page right here where it lists your existing Placester sites. Now, for most people, there should be just one site in this list. We don't need to have any other sites because KW only provides one free site. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to this. One is, and this is inexplicable, we have no idea what causes this, but every once in a while we do see some agents where they have two sites that are automatically created by Placester, and both sites are viable. They can send both sites live without paying for them. So if you do have two sites and you can send them both live, you can launch both of them, you're welcome to do that. You can use both sites, whatever. You probably, my recommendation would be not to, so that way you don't confuse yourself, you don't get mixed up between which site has what. But if you do have that additional free site for you to launch, you're welcome to use that if you want. The other reason we see additional sites on this page is because agents have clicked this plus sign to create a new site. Do not click this plus sign because, again, you only get one free site from KW. Any additional sites that you create, you'd have to pay to have launched, to have those live on the internet. So you don't want to click this plus sign and get yourself confused by having a bunch of other sites that are not launched that may have correct information, but they're not out on the internet. Some may have this information, some may have that. I saw one time someone had done this 7 times. They had 7 additional sites on top of the free one that KW provided, and none of the others were launched, and they had tried setting the site up 7 different times with different information, and it was a mess to try to clean up. So you should only have one site. Now, the last exception to this is in this list, you may see maybe a commercial site or a farm and ranch site. That's the additional, what's that called? Exception to this. If you're a member of KW Commercial or KW Farm and Ranch, you do get an additional free site for each of those divisions. You used to get a free site for if you were a member of the luxury division, but since luxury homes are still homes, they're still residential, what you get instead now is a new theme for your existing residential site. But if you're a member of Commercial or Farm and Ranch, you will have another site in this list. So we're going to click on Edit Site over here on the right for our regular site, just the one that should be in this list. So for the rest of this class, this is the page that we're going to start out from, where we're going to be working here in Site Settings. That's the page that we're on right now. We're basically going to work our way from listings down here to custom domain. This is the last thing we're going to cover in the class, and I know it's what everybody's excited about. You want to know what your website address is. Bide your time, have a little bit of patience. We will get there, but it'll be the last thing that we do. So coming back up here to the top under listings, we'll click on IDX integration. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange, and this is the system by which the MLS sends listing information over to your site for site visitors to be able to search. I don't know why they don't just call it an MLS feed, but the name is IDX. Now on this page, you may have a couple of options here. By default, what's going to be selected, what's going to be on is the KWLS. That's the Keller Williams Listing Service, and that is all KW listings in US and Canada. What am I trying to say there? That means that only KW listings are going to be able to be found on your site if someone uses the search function. They would not be able to find listings outside of the company, like with maybe Crylike or Coldwell Banker or whoever. You would need to have a real IDX feed to your actual local MLS in order for other listings outside of the company to be found. And a lot of times that is enabled here by default. That's something most times that the Market Center and the MLS and Placester have figured out ahead of time. So you may have some additional options here for like your local MLS. It should show that name of your MLS, and you can just turn that on. You click here where it says off, and now it's on, and you would want to turn off the KWLS just to avoid confusion. Now, if your local MLS is not listed here, you would need to send an IDX request, and that takes different forms depending on which MLS you're a member of. Some MLSs require some paperwork that needs to be submitted. Some MLSs require an email in a certain format that needs to be sent in, and then some MLSs require that you click this link here to request a new integration. You would want to refer to your Market Center leadership for requesting a new IDX connection for your KW website powered by Placester. That process is different for each market center, for each MLS, and we do handle that for a handful of market centers, but for the majority, you want to refer to your market center leadership. They should have the information on hand for how to request a new integration for your site if your MLS is not listed in this list here. Now, if you're a member of multiple MLSs, if there's more than one MLS that serves your area, like where I'm from down in Pensacola, Florida, there's eCar, Yeah, Emerald Coast Association of Realtors, and then there's PAR, Pensacola Association of Realtors. eCar covers most of what PAR covers, so you could potentially be a member of both of those boards. You would request the IDX integration for both of those boards, and then you can turn on multiple MLSs to show for listing search on your site. But if you're not a member of multiple MLSs, I would recommend just turning on your primary MLS. Once that's turned on, you would click Save down here at the bottom. That green Save button is going to be required for everything that we change on the site. Any updates you make, whether it's in a page or some settings or somewhere, every time you make a change, you have to click on that green Save button in order to apply it to your site. If you don't and you exit the section that you were in, whatever changes you made were not applied and you would need to redo them. Under IDX integration, we've got these two sections here that are similar but very different. We've got global filters and featured listings. I'm going to start with featured listings and then jump back to global filters because global filters you typically want to leave alone. This is not something that you want to put restrictions into because it affects what listings can be found on your site. Instead, we want to work in featured listings most often. So let's click on featured listings and then we'll go back up to global. So here in featured listings, you're choosing which listings show on the home page of your website. Now you can get very, very specific here. You can even manually choose, I want this listing, this listing, this listing to show on my home page. Now if you do that, you would have to manually update that as they came on and off the market. So that's not typically what's recommended, but you can have that option. Instead, most of the time what we recommend using is filtered listings here. That's the tab that's selected by default. And you would apply filters as if you were searching for a home, and the listings that meet those filters criteria would show on your home page. And then you can sort them after that. So here in featured listings, let's say the simplest thing, the easiest thing that most people want to do is show their listings on the home page. You want people to see your listings before they see any other listings. That's definitely recommended. So what you would do is, excuse me, over here under Add Search Criteria, we're going to click our drop down right here, and we'll scroll down just a little bit to the Agent Office Info, and we would select Agent ID. Once you select that, over on the right here, we have to click Add. So now we've got a new box here for Agent ID, and this is where you would put in your MLS ID, the one that identifies you in the MLS for your listings to go under. So it would be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever it is, first initial, last name, first initial, whatever it is that identifies you in the MLS. And then you would click Search to see a preview of what listings match these criteria. Now it's showing me that there are no listings that match this agent ID. No surprise, that's not a real agent ID, but you should see your actual listings down here. If you don't see them, you want to go back to IDX integration, make sure that you've selected your proper MLS, and if that is correct and you know your agent ID is correct, then you'd want to reach out to Placester support. So that's support-kw@placester.com. And I'll type that out for you guys here. There we go, sent that over in the chat window there. Again, if you're joining us late, to open up the chat window to see that message I just sent, you'll click on, up in the top of your screen here, you'll click on the little speech bubble icon here, and that'll open up your chat window. Speaking of that chat window, I forgot to mention this a little earlier. If you have questions as we go along, if something isn't clear or I missed something or I skipped something or something like that, definitely send me questions in that chat window. I will be keeping an eye on that and answer those as well as I can. Okay, so that's how you can get your listings on the home page. But say instead maybe you don't have any listings, or the listings that you have you don't want to showcase, or maybe you want to work in a specific area or on a specific type of listing, and those are the kinds of listings you want to show on your home page. So let's say I like to use the example of a historic neighborhood. So you want to work with maybe older homes, or maybe these older homes are also pricier homes. What you would do is up here under Add Search Criteria, we're going to select our criteria here, and this is going to be, depending on your MLS, you may have different fields here. You may have like community name, or you may have subdivision. I'm going to go with community name here, or actually neighborhood. That sounds like a good one. Then we'll click Add here, and we're going to search for the name of some neighborhood. I'm just going to put in an S here, not an XS, S, and see what it comes up with. There we go. We've got Lakeside School District. Say, you like that school district, homes around there sell well, they sell for good prices, people want to live here, and those are the type of homes you want to work with for buyers. You would want to show those on your homepage. So we've got that new criteria there for Lakeside School District. So we would click search here, and we've got this preview of what listings are in that school district. There's almost 200. So you may want to narrow that down further. You may want to add a minimum price. So you would scroll down a little bit to the price section, minimum price here, add that. So a minimum price of $175,000. We'll search that. Not that many fewer listings. Let's call it 275 then. That's still not that many fewer listings, but there's only about 100 listings in that area that are over 275K. So what you would want to do after that is say you do want to work with those higher priced homes. That's what you want to show on your homepage. So you would change this default sort, or you would leave this default sort as highest price. But there are other options here. So say you were looking to show those listings from that historic neighborhood or brand new construction or things like that, you can change the sort here to things like year built oldest, that would show those historic homes, or year built newest, that would show the brand new ones, maybe even the ones that are still under construction. You can also show the freshest or stalest listings in the MLS that meet these criteria as well. Typically what we do is we set a minimum price and we do newest days on site, so it shows the freshest listings that meet your criteria. Once you have your criteria in place here, and if you do have additional questions for how to work with this, we do have a separate class for this. What was I talking about here? And you can send us an email to support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can send you that specific class. Once you've got your criteria in place and you're happy with what the results are going to look like, you would scroll down to the bottom and click Save, and that would apply that to your site. One thing I forgot to cover here for IDX integration is if you're unclear on how IDX works with your website or how to set it up with your site, check out this page that I'm sending you guys for information about the 3 IDX feeds that each KW agent needs. Also, if your IDX for your local MLS board says it's pending, so instead of over here on the right, instead of having the switch to turn on, if it says pending in this spot, you'll actually want to contact Placester directly. They're going to have the information about how to get it out of pending status. Okay, so we just finished up featured listings, and that's choosing the listings that show on your home page. Global filters, like I said, typically you want to leave alone because this is choosing the listings that are going to be searchable, able to be found on your site. So if you go over here to filtered listings and you set, say, a zip code, I don't even know what is Arkansas zip codes. 72002. Okay, so say we put in 72002. Not 02. There we go. And we search that. Only these 230 listings would be able to be found on this site. Even if someone was searching for a listing outside of this zip code, they wouldn't be able to find it because here in Global Filters, we said only allow listings within this zip code to be found on my site. So vast majority of the time, leave this alone. I am going to exit this and continue without saving. Under that, we've got open house info. That doesn't apply to your sites because that only applies to single property sites. That's an upgrade from Placester. You'd want to contact Placester directly for more information about that. Under that, we've got theme selection. This is where you're choosing the look and feel of your site. So you're choosing like the layout and colors and things like that. Now, as far as customizing that layout and colors and all of that, you're very limited, or you're kind of limited because you can only change that by choosing the theme. There is no drag and drop. There's no custom coding unless you pay for an upgraded package. You just select the theme that fits what you want most closely. You can't like move this picture over to this side. You can't move this search bar into the middle of this picture. You can't move this search bar over to the left side of this. It's going to look basically exactly like what the theme dictates for you. What am I looking at here? So you're kind of limited that way. I totally lost my train of thought. Once you've selected the theme you want, which, by the way, you're not choosing your theme based on this picture back here, the one that's behind or above the search bar. You're in control of what that picture is. You can change out that image for anything that you want. So this rocky coastline here doesn't have to be here if you choose the Madison theme. You can select a different image. Or for the Madison Metro, you can select a different image than this nice kitchen here. You can show maybe your local area or a listing of yours. You decide what this image is here. So choose your theme based on layout and colors and look and feel, not on this image right here. That is changeable. Now, speaking of the Madison and the Madison Metro, those two themes are KW specific. Only KW agents get those two themes, and they have some KW customization to them. By default, they're going to come with the KW logo up at the top here, and it should include the KW logo down at the bottom as well. The other themes are not going to have that excuse me, in there by default. So most of the time it's recommended to use the KW themes, the Madison and the Madison Metro, but you're not obligated to. You don't have to. It's up to you which theme you want to choose. I'm going to leave the Madison here just to show you what that looks like by default. Under that, most themes allow you to choose some colors here. So if I select a different color like this green here, you'll see that this changes the preview up at the top here. It changes this top section and the search bar and a couple of other things. This blue does the same thing, orange, all of that fun stuff. And depending on the theme that you've chosen, you may have some cool options here, like choosing a two-color scheme here, like the red and the gray, or the red and the blue here. Now, coming down to the next section here, for the Madison specifically, you can choose whether you want this top header to be solid, this color that you've chosen down here, or whether you want it to be white, and then with accents of like the menu items and the buttons and all of that of whatever color you've chosen here. Now, if you select this other white header here, that's not going to update here in the preview. You're just going to have to go and look at your site to see what it actually looks like. I'm going to go ahead and select that just to show you what it looks like. And then also specifically on the Madison theme, you have this statement that you can change that says over the slideshow here. By default, if you leave this blank, it's going to say the best place to find your home. And if you clear this out later from your own custom one, it's going to go back to the best place to find your home. So it's always going to say something here, but you can change what it says there up to 60 characters. Typically, we do something like your home search starts here. That's what we do when we set your sites up for you. And that is a free service provided through your Market Center subscription. So if you'd like to have us set your site up for you, we can definitely do that. Just shoot us an email requesting that. What am I trying to say here? So as far as this text here, you're only changing what it says. You can't change the size, you can't change the alignment, you can't change the color, you can't change the font face. You're just changing it from what it says here to what it says in this box. Like I said, you're limited as far as customization goes to just changing your theme. And then we'll click Save here to apply those changes. So now that I've actually made some changes to the site, up here in the top right, I'll click on View Live Site to go see what that looks like on Scott's site. Eventually. Okay, so this is what his site looks like currently. We've got this white header section with accents of that orange that I selected here. You see that in the search button here and down here in featured properties also. Because the logo we have uploaded previously is all white on a white background, it's actually not going to show up here, but you'll be able to see as I drag here, there is a logo in that spot. We're going to get some more customization going in just a minute in the next section. So back on our Placester interface, the next section here is slideshow. This is again where you're choosing the image that goes, let me close this here, that goes behind this search bar here or above the search bar depending on the theme that you've chosen. Like I said, you're in control of what these images are. And in fact, you can add up to 5 images here and they would scroll through just like this as a slideshow. So if we click on slideshow here, you can choose from one of the pre-built slideshows that Placester provides for you. If you like the images that are in any one of these, you can preview those using these little arrow buttons here. We've got nature, we've got mid-priced homes. This is generally what we select when we set up your site for you. You've also got luxury properties and all these other things here. You can select one of these slideshows and just apply that to your site. You would select and then scroll down and save, and that would apply that slideshow to your site. You can also customize any of these slideshows by clicking on select, And then you can change the name. You can upload a replacement picture in place of this one right here. You can remove this picture just to not have it in your slideshow at all. You can change the caption that shows in the bottom left of the image right here. Again, this is where it's always going to show. It's always going to be in this spot, this size, this color, this font. You're just changing what the text actually says. You can change that out there. You can remove it. You can also apply a link to each one of the slideshow images as well. How do you change the background picture when using Madison? That's what we're working on right this minute. Like I was saying, you're choosing your theme based on the layout, and then you change the slideshow right here, what we're working on right this second. That's how you change the background image when you're using the Madison. You change the slideshow. Okay, where was I? So you can apply a link to each of these images also. So you can link maybe to your Facebook page or an event page if you've got like a banner about an event here. Say you've got an image of an attraction that's around where you work. You can link to their website. Say there's some kind of community thing going on and you have their logo maybe as one of these images. You can link to their site. You can link to anywhere that you want, even pages inside your own website. So say you've got a picture of one of your listings here, one of your current listings, you can link to that page within your site here. You would just go find that listing and copy the address and paste it into this box. Once you've made, again, any of the changes that you want to make, you've got to make sure to click Save to apply those changes. I haven't actually changed anything here, so I'm going to dismiss it and continue. And then the last option here is you can actually create your own custom slideshow from scratch. You don't have to work with one of these default ones that they've got here. And you would do that by clicking this plus sign right here. Now this plus sign is going to be very common across all the things that you can create here in your Placester site. That's covered more in your Placester 201 class, but as you're adding new pages or new blog posts or anything else, that same plus sign applies. You click plus to create a new one of whatever you're looking at on that page. So here in our custom slideshow, I'm just going to call this class slideshow. And then again, you can upload up to 5 images. You can have fewer than that. You can have just 1 image and it can be static and not slide through at all. You can have 2, 3, 4, or 5. You can't have any more than 5. And you can also only have 1 slideshow selected at a time. You can't have it go through interiors and then nature and then luxury homes. You can only apply 1 slideshow at a time. So I'm going to upload several images here just to show you what happens when you upload images that are the incorrect dimensions. Placester, website class images, there we are there. Slideshow, gosh, so many images here. So there's 1 image there. Upload another one there. The reason I'm showing you this is because there are guidelines for what size the images are supposed to be for this slideshow. They want them to be much, much wider than they are tall, about 4 times wider than they are tall, 3 to 4 times depending on the theme that you've chosen. And you'll notice that some of these images that I'm uploading are not at all wider than they are tall. In fact, they're much taller than they are wide. And that's going to turn into some funny things when I save this. Now, before I do that, I want to add just, this is a test caption, and then here is a test link here. And you're going to want to put in for these links, I forgot to mention this earlier, you do want to use the full http:// blah, 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 the entire link that you copy out of the address bar. So we'll scroll down, make sure to click Save to apply that to the site. We come back to Scott's site and refresh it. And this is how you change the Madison theme image. You just change that slideshow, and now I've got a new slideshow in the background here. Now you'll notice, we'll come back to this first slideshow image here. This is that first image I uploaded. It was wider than it was tall, so it's displaying quite nicely on the page here. It did cut off the top and bottom just a little bit because it wasn't quite as narrow as it needed to be, but it's not really hurting anything because you can still definitely tell what's going on. Down here in the bottom left is my test caption that I put in, and then if I click on this image, theoretically, did it not save the link? I don't know what's happening there, but theoretically it's supposed to take you over to the site that is applied to that image. Interesting. And then you'll notice on this second image here, let me open up that image just to show you what it looks like. Where is it? Where did that image go? There it is. Oh, it popped up and then I accidentally minimized it. Okay, so this is that second image here. You'll see this is the same image. We've got the boots. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Got the boots there, got the water. But you'll notice above the boots, we've got some nice ships. And then below the boots, we've got our deck here, our dock. Those are not showing here because this image is much too tall. You want to crop out the middle of your image and see if that still looks good on your site. If it doesn't, you're going to want to choose a different image. Now, if you need more help choosing those images or cropping them or anything, if you open up the slideshow section again, up at the top here, we've got this line that says, please visit this help article for image resizing tips and to learn ideal slideshow dimensions for each Placester theme. They have step-by-step videos showing you exactly how to get your images into the correct size, the correct dimensions for your slideshow for whichever theme that you've chosen. So definitely check that out from Placester. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Now, one of the things it doesn't cover on that page there is it covers all of the themes except for Madison and Madison Metro. So if you want the specific dimensions for Madison and Madison Metro, I just sent you guys the link for that. Okay, so that's it for the slideshow. Dropping down here to certifications, this is the easiest part. You just click the certifications that apply to you. So if you're in the States, you have to click Equal Housing Opportunity. And then if you're a member of any association of realtors, you have to click National Association of Realtors. There's a total of 6 certifications that you can show on your site. That just used 2 of them, so we can select 4 more if we had those. So if you've earned additional certifications like your CIPS or CRS or anything like that, you can just click those and you can see that it's selected by the blue border that's around it. And then you make sure to click Save down here at the bottom. Those are shown at the bottom of your site. There we go. We've got our equal housing. We've got our National Association of Realtors. Okay, where was I? So we just finished certifications. Down here for social networks, I leave these in here just to show you guys what the format needs to look like. Your social media links, you can apply to your site and they're going to show in different places depending on the theme that you've chosen. The Madison, if you look on Scott's site here, shows them up in the very top left. We've got our LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. That's where it puts them on Madison, but different themes put them in different places. For these boxes here, this does not want the full http://facebook.com/blah blah blah. It just wants the part after that first slash. That's why it's showing you we've already got this. We've got facebook.com/ and then whatever's after the slash goes in this box. Same for Twitter, same for LinkedIn. Now, I do want to point out for LinkedIn and for YouTube and potentially for Google+, you're going to have additional slashes after the first slash. You want to include those. It's everything after the first slash in the address. No matter which box it is, everything after the first slash. I just want to point out that there will be additional slashes depending on the social media link that you're putting in here. Now, if you need help finding your public social media links to put in these boxes, I just sent you guys a link to that video showing you where to find that. And this is a good point to say, if anybody's watching this on a recording, definitely send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can send you all of these notes pretty easily. Okay, once you've got those links in place there, again, remember you want to click Save to apply them to your site. Okay, social networks, and then coming down here to search form, this is choosing what the search form looks like on your site, whether you want it to be just the Omnibox here where they type it out what they're looking for, an address or beds or baths or zip or price range or things like that, just like they do on Zillow or on kw.com, or depending on if you've chosen another theme, you can give them drop-down boxes to choose from as well. With the Madison and the Madison Metro themes, the only option you have is the Omnibox. And the Omnibox functions just like I said, very similar to like it does on Zillow. You type, 1 bed, 2 bath, or 2 bed, 1 bath, 150K, fence, pool, such and such zip code, all of that into the same box. And then you can filter that further once you're over on the search results page. So if you've got the Madison and the Madison Metro, you would just click Next and then click Save, and that would just make sure it's applied to your site. If you want one of the more drop-down based, what are they called, search boxes, you would actually have to go change your theme. So we'll go back to theme selection, and I'm just going to select Plymouth here because it's the first one that's not a Madison. Save that, and then now if we come back to search form, we have additional options here. We can still select the Omnibox. We can use the Omnibox with pretty much all of the themes, but you do have additional selections here that you could make if you were using a different theme. What you're choosing down here is which drop down do you want to be first. Do you want it to be price? Do you want city first, zip, or neighborhood? Typically, price is the one that people want to show first. That's why it's at the top of the list here. So we'll select that. Then we'll do next. And then here we're choosing how many additional drop downs do we want to give people once they're over on the search results page. On the home page, they would only have the 4 drop downs that were in that first step. Once they actually perform a search or click on the listing search page, they would get these additional boxes here if you select that. You could just leave it at those 4 original boxes, or you can add up to all of the rest of these boxes. So we'll click Save just to show you what that looks like. Come back to Scott's site, give it a refresh. There we go. We've got our new Plymouth theme applied. We've got our new drop-down based search box here. I can set a minimum price of 200,000. I don't know why it's doing that. Scroll down and find 200,000. There we go. And then just search. So it's going to show me listings that are a minimum of 200,000. Looks like there are almost 5,000 listings that meet that criteria in Arkansas. Apparently this is the whole state. Anyway, so now that we're here on the listing search page, now we've got those additional drop downs that we selected in that second step, and they can filter further using those drop downs. Now say you decided, oh, I want to go back to the Madison theme and I'm okay with using the Omnibox. So if you just go back to theme selection and you switch back to Madison and save that, what happens is if I go back to the home page of Scott's site here, the search box is going to look a little funky. It's going to try to preserve those drop downs that we selected previously, and these are functional. They will still do their job, but it looks really weird. So what happens, what you would need to do after that point is to come back to search form and resave the Omnibox. That's what happens. It's a little glitch there. I don't know why Placester hasn't fixed it. I guess they've got bigger fish to fry. And then when we refresh this, now we should have our Omnibox back. There we go, nice and pretty. Okay, dropping down here to the menu. This menu is almost completely customizable. You can add as many menu items as you want. You can link to pages on your site. You can link anywhere else. You can link to your app page. You can link to your Facebook, although we've already got that in the top left, so I don't know why you would do that. You can link to your Market Center website. You can link to events pages. Anything that you want to, you can link to in your menu. You can also rearrange the menu by dragging and dropping. So you click and hold, drag things around, and you see those dotted lines. That new spot there is going to be the new spot for the blog. So let me move these back where they were. Excuse me. You can also, like I said, add as many menu items as you want. So if we come down here to home, we're going to click on your favorite listings. This page was added by default to your site, but it's not added by default to your menu. Your favorite listings here is your as in the client, as in the site visitor, excuse me, that has created an account on your site. This only applies to people that have created an account and you've gotten that lead. So if they've created an account and they've saved some properties, this page will show them a full list of all of the properties that they've saved. So we're going to add that to our menu. We'll click that in the drop down here, then we'll click add over on the right. So now that is in our menu, and then we can drag this around and rearrange it any way that we want, including if I drag it on top of another menu item here, you see that dotted line is around listing search now. When I let go of my mouse, your favorite listings is now indented under listing search. You can guess what that means. It means it's a drop-down menu that's going to show up on the site, and I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute. Now we're going to add a custom URL. Like I said, this is where you can link to any other page anywhere on the internet. And what we're going to do here is add in your app link so they can link to the download page to your specific KW app. So we'll do custom URL, click add, and now we've got 3 boxes under our menu item here. Label is just the text that's going to display on the menu, what people are actually going to read. So download my app, free home search app, search homes on the go, something like that. I like to do that. Some people didn't like it, so we changed it to free home search app. In the URL box, that's where we're going to go get your app link and put it into this box. To do that, we're going to go back to our MyKW tab. This should still be open in another tab in your browser, Placester in its own tab here. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage. And if we hover over technology, I think this is actually a new thing. Okay, actually, sorry. Wait, no, yeah, mobile app resources. Is this going to show me my app code? I think it's supposed to. No, I don't think it's going to show me the app code. I thought they had moved this. Let me go back here. Okay, back on our MyKW homepage in our eEdge control panel, in the top center here, we've got the My Marketing section. If you click this plus sign just to the right of that, we've got our menu that drops down, and then you'll click on Manage eAgency Website. Don't get hung up on that website where this site was retired almost 3 years ago. The only reason the interface is still around is because the app is administered through this site interface. So you'll open up that eAgency interface. This is where I'm going to have to leave you and just talk you through it, but it's fairly simple. Scott just doesn't have this interface. He doesn't have an agent role, so I can't actually show you what it looks like. Once you're in the eAgency interface, over on the left, you've got section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5.0. You're going to click on section 4.0 to drop down that menu, and then within that drop down, you're going to click section 4.5, mobile search, mobile property search. On that page, over on the right, there should be a drop down at the top where you would select your market center. Once your market center is selected, immediately below that is going to be your app link. It's going to be in the format http://app.kw.com/kw whatever your code is. You want to copy that entire thing. It's going to be the full http: the whole line. Copy, select and copy all of it. Once you've got that copied, we're going to come back over to our Placester interface, and we're going to paste that here into this URL box. It's going to look like http://app.kw.com/kw, and then whatever the rest of your code is there. I think it's 5 or 6 digits here. That code is specific to you. This is going to take people to your app download page. I'm going to leave that off here because Scott doesn't have a specific app download page, but you do want to paste in that entire code, whole http://. Under that, we've got this tooltip box. It's optional. You can leave this be. I'm not going to put anything in here. It's just what shows up if someone were to hover over this menu item in your, actually I'm going to do, just to show you what this looks like. So we'll save that, come back to Scott's site and give it a refresh. Now we've got our new menu item here, Search Homes on the Go. And as I hover over this, you see that little box that drops down under my cursor that says this is a tooltip? That's a tooltip. You don't have to have a tooltip. It's up to you whether you want to or not. And then when I click on this, this is going to go over to the KW app download page. If you pasted in your app code correctly, it'll go to your KW app download page, your name, your picture, your service area on the page. Okay. Back to our Placester interface here. We just finished up with menu. Down here in site info is going to be the lengthiest thing that we do. A lot of this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go ahead and walk you through it. Up here at the top, site title is going to show up pretty big up here at the top of your site. And then site subtitle, the tagline, is going to show a little bit smaller below that title. You do have to have something in this box for site title, but you can leave tagline blank. So there has to be something in this box. Typically, when we're setting this up, we'll just put in your name here. If you're a member of a team, especially if you're the lead agent of a team, you might want to put that team name in this section because your name comes from a different spot here, and that'll show over on the right side of the site. So I'm going to put this as, Scott Leroy Marketing. And then for the tagline, we typically put in something like your local real estate resource, your whatever the name of your service area is, real estate resource. What you don't want to put in there is like your such and such city realtor. NAR will get mad at you for that. So you can use this. You can put in your own motto, slogan, catchphrase, tagline, mantra, whatever you've got. You can put it in that box, or you can leave it blank. Under that, we've got this spot here to upload a logo. To get the elephant out of the room, don't use the Select a KW logo. There's only about 20-something offices that actually have a logo in this spot. That leaves about 800 or 900 other offices that don't have a logo in this spot. Instead, you're better off uploading your own logo. Now, if you need help finding your market center's logo, guess what? We have a class for that, and I am sending you the link for that right now. Once you've got your market center's logo, you would click Upload File and just choose your market center's logo file. Now, I had a question one time about this upload button here. Someone thought that because this upload button was still here after uploading a logo over here, that meant we could add a second logo, an additional logo. That's not what this means. If you click Upload File here, it's going to exchange this logo for whatever new file you've got right here. Under that, we've got these checkboxes for display name and tagline. This is off by default. Now, if you turn this on, site title and tagline will show at the top of the site. And then over on the right, display logo is on by default, but you can uncheck it to not show whatever logo is in this spot right here. You can also just remove that logo. It accomplishes the same thing. Under that, we've got a favicon. I thought I had a link for the favicon. Okay. Favicon shows in two places. It shows up here in the browser tab, or excuse me, it shows in one place. It shows up here in the browser tab. You see above my cursor here where it's got this little white outline page with the corner folded down? That's what happens if you don't have a favicon. So what you would upload here is an image that's going to look good, very, 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 very small. And in fact, I'm going to have to go back over here because that favicon doesn't work anymore. So this is going to show only here in this browser tab, only this size, exactly 16 by 16 pixels, no bigger, no smaller. So this is not the place to put your picture because they'll be able to tell there is a human there. They won't be able to tell what you look like. And so that's not the place for that. Instead, typically, you'd want to do something simple like this, just the plain KW, or maybe your logo, if your logo is simple and doesn't have a bunch of text in it that needs to be read, or your team logo or something like that. You don't have to have a favicon. You can leave this blank, but if you'd like to use this favicon like we use, just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can send that to you. Down here, this is really self-explanatory. Your name, your title if you want to. This is only required in New York. So if you're an agent in New York, you are required to put in your title right here. So like real estate salesperson or real estate broker, whatever that is. Other places, you don't have to have a title in this spot. Now, in most places, you can go ahead and put like realtor or real estate salesperson, but you're not required to. Email, put in your contact email. Your phone number. Oops. And then this is for both California and New York. If you're an agent in one of those states, you do have to display your license number. And that's updated in my profile. So don't click on this just yet because that will close what we've done here. We'd have to come back and redo it. We're going to go revisit my profile once we've got this saved. Under that, you would upload your picture. Got this nice picture of Scott, theoretically. There's a picture of Scott. There it is. Got this nice picture of Scott that we're going to show on the site. Under that, office information, pretty self-explanatory. Office website. This is specifically for New York. If you're not in New York, you don't have to put your office's website here. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Office phone, that's your market center's phone number. Now, when we set this site up for you guys, we typically put in your number here, but my personal feeling is put your office's contact information here because if someone's trying to reach your office, that means they've already tried reaching you and you were unavailable. You were at a showing, you were sleeping, you were showering, you were working with another client, and you don't want your office to lose that lead and lose the profit share that you could potentially get part of if you are growing your profit share tree. So I recommend personally putting in your office contact information, but when we set you up officially, we put in your contact information. Something like that. Address, city, state, zip code. That's 5. There we go. And then these two are, again, specifically for New York. New York is really picky for what needs to be displayed on agent sites. So if you're in New York, you have to check these two boxes here. What was I saying there? And then down here for SEO, this meta title and meta description, I'm not going to spend too much time on. Just know that the meta title shows in two places. Up here in the browser tab, you see where it says site title. Whatever you put in this box is going to replace site title. So this is what people are actually going to see when they're looking at your site. It also shows on search results as the blue link that shows for your search engine result here. So you're telling the search engine what to display in this spot. Real live people are going to be reading this, so think about that when you're writing your, what's that called? Your meta titles and your meta descriptions. If you want more information about, excuse me, customizing your meta title and your meta description. We do have a special class just for that. It's our SEO class that's found on our SEO challenge. I'm going to send you guys the link for that right now. There we go. Okay, and then also for this meta description, that also shows here on the search engine results as this gray text that, again, real life people are reading. So you want to think about that when you're writing your meta description as well as your meta title. For this meta title, typically you want important information up front and then less important information towards the back, because you've got roughly 55 characters here before the search engine cuts it off with a ... Doesn't hurt anything if it's longer than that, but just keep in mind the important information needs to be up front so that it doesn't get cut off. So definitely your name for sure. A lot of people put their phone number in this section just so it's right there on the search engine result. And then the purpose of your site is also really important. Oops. And then maybe your company name, something like that. Now, roughly right about the edge of this box here is about 55 characters, coincidentally. They maybe did that on purpose. So you're pretty safe with this information. That's probably going to show on your search engine result. Everything after here is more than likely going to be truncated with that ... For the meta description, you've got about 3 times as much space. You've got 155 characters before it cuts it off with the ... So you want this to be a natural, human readable description of what's going to be found on your site before someone clicks on that search engine result. So Scott Leroy is your local resource to buy, sell, or invest, in real estate in and around the Little Rock metro area, something like that. And if you want more information about writing that, again, definitely check out our SEO class. Once we've got all this information in place, we want to make sure to click Save. And then we're going to open this back up eventually. Back up to our site info so that we can go into my profile and put in a license number here. So we're going to click Edit here up at the top where next to my profile, and then you put in your license number. So if you're in California or if you're in New York, if you're in California, you have to have CA-DRE. If you're in New York, it's probably a good idea to put NY-DRE and then your license number. If you're not in one of those states, this is not required. And then also before it'll let you save, you have to put in your phone number up here. You just type it in. Save profile. And now if I go back to Scott's site, give it a refresh, we've got a lot of changes we made. We've got our new meta title, our SEO title up here in the browser tab. We've got our favicon right here. We've got our new site title. We've got our new tagline. Oops, tagline. We've got this logo over here, which again is white on white, so that's why it's not showing. Over here on the right, we've got your name and your title if you put it in that box. Got your license number, again, if you're in California or New York. Email me is going to start a new email message to whatever email address you put in that box. Here's your phone number. Here's your market center name. Again, if you're in New York and you check that box, this is also applied with that link to your market center address. So if someone were to click this, they would be taken to your market center's website. Voila. And then there's also your market center's, what's that called? Physical address. And then also your market center's contact information is going to be down here at the very bottom of the site. This is why I recommend typically putting your actual market center contact information, especially the phone number, in that section, because they've scrolled past several opportunities to contact you in order to reach your office's contact information, and they're probably really wanting to speak to someone at your office because probably you weren't available. And that's definitely understandable. You're busy, you're working with other people, and you can't answer every call as it comes in, so you don't want your market center to lose that lead. Okay, back here under sites and then edit site. Last couple of things we're going to cover here. Language, we're just going to skip. The only options in here are these. There's no point. We're going to skip that. And down here under more, this auto publish here, that's an upgrade feature from Placester where they will auto publish some blog posts on your site. Contact Placester directly about updating or upgrading to that. I forgot to point out this menu link right here. I don't know why it's grayed out. It does actually apply to your site, so don't be daunted by that. You click on it, you can edit it just the same way we did earlier in the class, even though it's grayed out. The auto publish and the open house info, though, are grayed out for a reason. You have to upgrade to use those. Down here under lead capture, this is one of the most important things we're going to cover in the class. That's because this is the information, this is how your site collects leads, and then what it does with those leads once they're collected, who it notifies and how, and then what other database those leads get put into, specifically your eEdge database. So starting at the top here, there are two options for how your site captures leads. By default, what's selected is passively capture leads. That means that nobody has to fill out a contact form on your site in order to search for listings. They can view as many listings as they want, never fill out a contact form. You never knew they were there. And then you've got aggressively capture leads, which means they have to fill out a contact form before they can search for any listings. Neither of these are perfect. The passively means you may not get the lead at all, even though they totally used your site and used your resources. And then aggressively capture leads, excuse me, you may not get the lead at all because they don't want to fill out that form. And also they could put in bogus information just to use the listing search feature. Somewhere in the middle is typically what's recommended. You know, after 3 or 5 or so listings viewed, then pop up the lead capture form. That's part of an upgrade package from Placester. This is one thing that we would encourage you to at least look at. I know the upgrade package that contains this, last I heard, was $90 a month. So that's a pretty significant expense. So you may want to weigh that pretty heavily using the red light, green light method as found in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. But if you do decide you want to add that upgrade package, there's a couple of other features that go with it. Contact Placester directly. They can talk to you more about that. Down here at the bottom for lead forwarding, this is the really, really important part. This is which email addresses are going to be notified when a lead comes into your site. It doesn't notify the email address that's in the site info section. It notifies the email address that's in here. So you definitely want to put in your regular contact email. And then after that, we want to do a comma. Has to be a comma. Can't be a colon, can't be a semicolon, can't be an enter, can't be a space. Has to be a comma. After that comma, we want to put in your eEdge website address, or excuse me, eEdge email address, so that leads that come into this site will automatically get forwarded over into your eEdge database. This site can put leads into your eEdge database, even though this isn't your eEdge site. To get that, we're going to return to our MyKW homepage, and then in our eEdge control panel, we're just going to click on View Contacts just to get inside eEdge. And then once we're inside eEdge, up in the very top right, we're going to click on Account, and then click on My Account. Eventually. There we go. And then on this My Account page, we want to copy the eEdge email. It's the one that ends in @kwrealty.com. And it has to have the @ sign. It can't be the dot. It can't be the eEdge website address. It has to be the email address. So we're going to select all of this, right-click and copy it, and then we'll paste that into our Placester box right here. And then we'll save that. So now leads that come into our Placester site will automatically be added to our eEdge database as contacts. And then the last thing we'll cover today is our custom domain. This is the one everybody was waiting for. What is my website address? Right here, your domain, this is your website address. So if you're in the United States, it's going to end in .kw.com. If you're in Canada, it's going to end in .kellerwilliamsrealty.ca. If it says anything other than that, if it says, what's that called? Site such and such dot myrealestateplatform.com or something like that, contact Placester. That should say .kw.com. Now you can edit this address. You can't edit this part, the .kw.com, that has to be there. But if you click edit over here on the right, you can change that first part. You can change what's before the dot. So we can change this to like Scott Leroy or Scott Simply Sells or something like that. And then you would just check availability just to see if anybody else already has that. If it says it's available, you can save that, and that would become your new site address, scottsimplysells.kw.com. Now be advised that when you change this address, the old address does not forward to this new address. So scottleroymarketing.kw.com, that would no longer work. It would take me to the main KW homepage. It would not forward to this new site address. So be very careful when you're changing your address to make sure that you haven't printed it already on some other marketing materials like maybe your business card or flyers or things like that, because that address no longer works. It goes to the KW homepage. And then under that, you can also, if you've purchased a custom domain from GoDaddy or Google Domains or KW Domain Store, any of those, you can also connect that custom domain to this site. There are step-by-step articles from Placester here that show you how to do that, or we have a free service that we offer through your Market Center subscription where we can do that for you. And that's typically what we recommend. Just let us do that for you. I just sent you guys the link to the form where you can request for us to do that. Really easy for us to do. We do a couple of dozen a day. What was I saying there? If you did change your address, make sure to click Save to apply it. I'm not actually going to apply this because I want it to remain the scottleroymarketing.kw.com. That's the address that you can put on your marketing materials. If you use your custom domain, that's the one that you would put on your marketing materials. That's the last thing we're going to cover for today. We'll pick up right there at custom domain. We'll actually cover that again at the beginning of Placester 201 next week. And then we'll get into some of the more, customization options of your site, like custom pages and blog posts and things like that. If you'd like for us to set up all of your Placester site for you, basically do this entire process for you, we can do that. Just fill out the form that I sent you guys there. And then if you want more information about all of our complimentary services, there's about 3 dozen of them. We've got, I've sent you the link there for our support page, and you can fill out any or all of those forms as well. I'm going to leave it open for a couple of questions. Wow, we are doing great on time. I normally don't do this well. So if we do have a couple of questions, anything I didn't cover clearly or anything that I missed or something like that, definitely send them over in that chat window. And again, if you missed the beginning of the class, up at the top of your screen in this section right here, we've got this little speech bubble icon. If you click on that, that'll pop up the chat window. You can find all of those links that I sent throughout the class. And if you have questions, you can send them to me in that chat window. Otherwise, if we don't have any questions, you're welcome to go about your day. I'm going to leave the recording open for a couple of minutes to wait on those questions.